OITPC, Joshua Stewart, pipe up north. Well, I'm getting a second video out this week. How about that? Let's see, I'm recording this. It's Saturday night. Late, really late. Maybe Sunday morning, I'm not sure. But being we got St. Patrick's Day coming up, I thought I'd have a little Peterson Irish Flake. This is right up there for me. It's probably one that I'll want to continue adding to the cellar. I think, I don't know if this is the only tin I got, or I might have one more stashed away someplace, but I don't have, many tins and tins of it around. But yeah, I can't describe to you the nuances of the taste, but I like it. See, Lynn, yesterday I had a little bit of the Jupiter slices from Ken Byron Ventures. That's some good stuff too. Problem is, it's a little harder to get. Before I forget, this is my, what is it, Lozano? Yeah, Lozano. This was gifted to me by a friend of mine in town here that I've known for probably 20 years or better. And it was his brother's. His brother passed away a number of years ago, and when he found out that I was smoking pipe, he gave it to me. So I really like this pipe. It's it's not filtered, which generally I prefer a filtered pipe, but for no other reason than to just keep gunk from coming in my mouth, which it already has with this once or twice. But it's got a really nice kind of pearlescent acrylic stem, then kind of a little bit of a reddish tinge on the, was that the stummel? And it's a little bit darker on the bowl. It's not in perfect shape. I mean, I don't think it was exactly babied its whole life, but when he gave it to me, I refurbished it, and it's bigger than it looks. On the ends, the chamber is bigger than what the outside of the bowl would have you believe. So anyway, not really sure totally what I'm going to talk about. Just thought I was going to make a video last night, and then it got too late. Well, it's too late again, but I figure it won't take me too long to knock out a video. Well, there's been some tough things going on in the YTPC this week. I mean, everybody knows about Lady Fire, which caught everybody by surprise. Then I saw this morning that Gary Papa Bear, they're having some wildfires in his area. and some of his friends have lost homes, and a lot of damage there. So Gary, you're in our prayers too. I thought there was another one that I saw recently too that, why can't I remember it? I'm sorry. And here in Minnesota, we were getting some weather too. A little bit on the other end of extreme. We were in a blizzard warning. We're supposed to get on Friday night, Saturday morning, like 6 to 8 inches of snow, and then like 30, 40 mile an hour winds. No, we got the 30, 40 mile an hour winds, but didn't get too much for snow. I mean, just enough to cover the ground, maybe an inch. That's about all we got, but it must have been warm enough that a lot of it was coming down more as like a freezing rain, because where it kind of drifted, I mean, it was just like a solid chunk of ice. It looked like snow, but and you could walk on it and you wouldn't even break the crust. I planned on pretending I was a body man today and I was hoping to get everything taken care of on my wife's car this weekend, but work is getting kind of busy, so I ended up having to go in today. I don't have to work on Saturdays very much, but got a project that came up and they said we need it right away, need it yesterday. So kind of went through all the channels and got approval for the overtime. So we're knocking it out. One of the tricky parts is our company has some facilities in Europe, or our parent company. So they made a company-wide policy to comply with some of the labor laws in the European Union that we're not allowed to work more than 6 days in a row, which generally is probably a good idea. But it doesn't account for that every once in a while when you need to get something done. You know, I don't think people should be forced to work the 7 days in a row, but when you volunteer to, you should be allowed to. So we've got to stagger it between the three of us in the department. We're each going to take or kind of share the weekends a little bit so that none of us work more than 6 days a week to keep the project moving 7 days a week. And I think along that same rule that's based on some labor laws in the European Union is nobody's allowed to work over 60 hours a week either. which I've been at the company almost 20 years, and I couldn't count the weeks on one hand where I've worked over 60 hours a week, which I'm sure a lot of people, 60 hours a week is a short week. Now there again, I can kind of see, to some extent, protecting the laborer from a, how would you say, a boss that's just trying to overwork you for the sake of overworking you. But there again, on a volunteer basis, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But, so, I don't get too political here, but I've got my opinions, and I've shared my opinions with a few of you in private, but kind of trying to keep the channel as neutral as possible. But well, then just talking about things going on in life. The power vent on our boiler bit the dust. I think it was on Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. Which has been going downhill for a while. And last year, was it last year or was it the year before? I kind of did a little, it broke, and I managed to fix it, but in the meantime I'd ordered a new power vent for it. But I wanted to try to get as much out of the old one as I could. I knew it wasn't going to last forever, but just kind of wanted to see how long I could make it last. And the temporary fix I did was before the new one arrived, because it was a cold snap. It was below zero, and we just needed to get it going. And we've got electric heat in some of the house. It's able to kind of help, but when it gets below zero, the electric heat can't keep up. So anyway, I managed to fix it enough to get by, and it lasted for a year. So, and part of the reason I didn't fix it right away was because it was working, and it was kind of a pain in the butt to replace. It should be a thing where it's just a few screws, pop it off, undo a couple of wires, and then reverse it. But it was probably a 2 or 3 hour job at least to get it swapped over. But now it's working, and the boiler in my house is, I think, from the 90s, so it's easily 30 years old. I had another issue with it probably 3 years ago or something now that was a little bit beyond what I felt comfortable doing, so I had the professional come in and take care of it. And I was talking to him. He was a guy that I knew. I said, well, should I be thinking about replacing this thing? I mean, it's like 30 years old. He said, well, as long as the boiler itself isn't leaking, every component is easily replaceable. So, and that we're not going to gain too much for efficiency, spending thousands of dollars on a new one. So he said, just keep it going and replace these little parts as they break. Because you buy a new one, the little parts are still going to start breaking in a few years. And then you'll be right where we're at now. So, all right. So that's what we're doing. We're just kind of keep an eye on it and replace the. Well, there's only like a half a dozen components that really ever go wrong. And most of them are easy to replace. So I've been pretending to be a body man and a HVAC tech this week. And just looking at I got an electric boiler in the shop here. That thing, and then that's got the in-floor heat in the cement, which I love that, but it's very slow to react when the temperature changes suddenly. Because on Friday, I think we had a high of 67 degrees around here. And Friday night, the wind picked up to I think it sustained 30 miles an hour all night, and then it dropped down to, I think, in the teens or 20s. So when temperature changes that fast with that much wind, the in-floor heat in the concrete is very slow to react and catch up. So when I came out here for just a little bit earlier in the day, it was a little chilly in here. Just couldn't quite keep up. And then I was gonna do my painting in the other part of the shop, and that's the part where we normally park the cars. We usually keep it at like 45 degrees in there, just enough to melt the snow off the cars. So, and I'd been keeping it warmer, like at least 60 or 65, while I'm doing some of this body work, because they always say that you should have it at that 60-65 degrees for doing body work. So of course I think it was down to about 45 in there, even though the thermostat was set for 62, I think, or 65, something like that. So I had to get a supplemental heat going in there today. This is not staying lit very good anymore. I don't think it's done already. Looks like I got about a half a bowl left, but unless it just doesn't like me talking. That could be it too. So now we'll get this finished up here. Just kind of rambling about what's been going on this week, and if you've hung around this far, either I don't know what's wrong with you or thank you. Haven't been talking about too much with the pipes here, but just kind of rambling. So with that, I think I probably just let you go. So thanks for watching. This is Joshua Stewart, Pipe Up North. Have a good day.